Boxing Council featherweight champion, here is Salvador Sanchez.
Hello, this is Doe Wilson back with another edition of Old School Boxing Talk. Okay, and wow, we've got a lot to cover. I'm going to try to make this short. Let's see. Last week, as we left, we had three big cards actually. Two in the UK, one in the US, and the one in the US had a lot of implications, but let's get back with the ones in the UK. Okay, in the UK, we had Carl Frampton taking on Nonito Donaire, with Frampton for a featherweight championship. Frampton won a 12-round decision over Nonito Donaire. Donaire, whose best days were at 122, hasn't been the same fighter since he lost to Rigondeaux. I think the Rigondeaux fight not only took his a lot of his confidence from him, but it also exposed him a lot, and he hasn't been the same fighter. When he stepped up to fight top-level fighters, he's been he's in bad shape. After the Rigondeaux fight, he's really not fared well. He hasn't fared well at featherweight. So, at least this time, Donaire didn't get carried out. He lost a 12-round decision to Frampton. The Jackal moves up, wins a championship, and I guess he'll keep it moving from there. From what all indications, I'm sorry, it might have been, I don't know what weight, I think it is featherweight. Excuse me, because I know he had a couple good fights with Leo Santa Cruz. He's the first man, the only man right now that's beat Santa Cruz. Him and Santa Cruz fought twice. He won the first one. Santa Cruz won the second one. There was supposed to be a third one. I don't know what happened. That was never made. I'm sure, something behind the scenes. I don't know. But Frampton beat Nonito Donaire, unanimous 12-round decision in the UK. The second fight in the UK was the return of chinless Amir Khan fighting some guy named Phil LaGreco, and Khan knocked this guy out in the first round. Yay. This kid, this guy LaGreco, he's also been knocked out by the main man, Errol Spence Jr. Khan, of course, immediately started flapping his gums about wanting to fight with Khan flapped his gums about wanting to fight with Spence, which he doesn't want that fight with Spence. Of course, he's going to call out Eddie Hearns. The plan there is to make this long-awaited fight with him and Kell Brooks. Should Kell Brooks win a 154-pound title, that's the eventual plan. But Kell Brooks also flapping his gums about wanting a rematch with Errol Spence. Seems like for some reason the powers that be want to get Errol Spence out of 147 and move him up to 154 for some reason, because them boys at 154 don't want to. Them boys at 147 don't want none. And speaking of those boys at 147. The man that held two belts at 147, Keith Thurman, has decided that it was nice while it lasted, but I'm going to give up the BC belt because I don't feel like holding a WBC belt, and the WBC is going to make me fight, or they're going to strip me, so I'm going to vacate that belt. So now Sean Porter and Danny Garcia are going to fight for that WBC title. And of course, neither one of those characters are going to fight Errol Spence. So, I think that was Keith Thurman just further keeping himself away from Errol Spence, just further saying, hey, I don't want that smoke. Plus, I think what Keith Thurman is also looking at with this holding that WBA belt is, should Manny Pacquiao beat Lucas Matisse for that WBA regular belt at welterweight, then Keith is looking at, hey, maybe I can get a fight with Manny Pacquiao. Because at this point of the game, Keith Thurman's not in it for greatness. Keith Thurman's in it to, Keith Thurman's pretty much looking to cash out right now. So Keith Thurman is trying to look it out. He's going to probably take another fight to handle any mandatories he may have. Should Manny Pacquiao win, he'll probably try to make that fight with Manny Pacquiao, to make some money. I would not be surprised if should Keith Thurman beat Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman says goodbye. Because I think Keith Thurman's, wants to, you know, what I told her, I gotta go and I ain't afraid to let it go. Yeah, Keith, you haven't known you are afraid to let it go because you ain't, you're not looking to fight anybody for real. All these injuries, whatever. I'm not saying the injuries are fake or false or whatever, but if you do what I think you're going, I'm predicting you're going to do here in this video, shows me you were, you would have got it, was talking right, you were young and hungry. Then the minute you got there, you were like, I want to go another route. You became a businessman. When you were a contender, you were a fighter. Once you became champion, you became a businessman. You forgot about the fighting aspect of it. So we'll see what happens, especially when Earl Spence and I know Earl Spence has punked a lot of you guys out. Only guy in the division who wants to fight him is Terrence Crawford. And that's kind of fucked up to the guy, the undisputed 140-pound champion, is saying, I'm coming to 147. I want to take on the best guy in there, and I want to fight Earl Spence, and all these other 147-pounders are making excuses not to fight Spence. I mean, everybody, they all chirp loud, but I can bet you, should Danny Garcia beat Sean Porter for the WBC title, Danny Garcia ain't going to go nowhere near Earl Spence Jr. Nowhere near him. Nowhere near him. And Sean Porter, if he loses, he ain't going to go near Earl Spence Jr., which is kind of funny because Sean Porter was the IBF welterweight champion. And Sean Porter talking about, oh, well, I don't know what I'm ranked in the IBF. I don't know what this is. Sean, you got to be ranked in the top. You got to be ranked in the top 5 by the IBF. You're the former champion there. So I'm sure the IBF isn't totally going to drop you, like that. And the question I always asked about, the question I always wondered was there no rematch clause in your fight with Kell Brook? That you never wanted to go that route again, or, to avenge that loss? I'm just asking. I just wondered about that. Most fighters, the champions have a rematch clause in there, and I don't know if you did or you didn't, but even if you didn't, I'd be screaming the hell I want my rematch. But it is what it is. Also, over this weekend, we saw Gervonta Tank Davis win the WBA 130-pound championship, beating Jesus Cuellar. Cuellar was a guy that was a body there to help put another. So I guess Davis can now say he's the youngest guy to hold 2 world titles. So whatever the hell that means. Davis showed once again why he's not in any way, shape, or form ready for Lomachenko. I got all these people saying, oh, Tank's this, Tank's that. Let me tell you something. Tank is nowhere near ready for Lomachenko. Now, do I think Lomachenko's the number 1 fighter in the world? No. I believe that honor goes to Terrence Crawford. Do I believe Lomachenko's the 2nd best fighter in the world? No. But Lomachenko's in the top 5. I'm going to put him in the top because I think that, because of his body of work, he's won 2 titles in divisions. I'm going to be respectful of the people that he's beaten. I'm going to say Lomachenko's in the top 5, make him my number 5. I did pound for pound, I make my number 5. But I don't do pound for pounds. So, that's just me. Now, like I said, Tank Davis knocked over Cuellar. Now he's WBA 130-pound titles. He's won the title in twice in the same division. He won the IBF version, lost it on the scale. Now he's won the WBA version. Yay, good for Tank. Okay, now moving forward, we go to the next fight with Jermell Charlo taking on. Damn, I forgot the guy's name. Well, that's how forgettable he was because the guy was, pretty much a nobody. He was the number 1 contender. The WBC ordered this fight between Charlo and this guy. Hold on, I'm going to try to find his name here. Hold on, let me pull up the thing here. Let's go. Between Charlo and... Hold on, let me go into my Bleacher Report over the weekend. Hold on, just stick with me a little bit here. I want to get the name of this guy that Charlo knocked out in 2 rounds. So I want to be as accurate as I can. When you're doing these videos, you want to be accurate. You want to have the name of the guy. Yeah, the guy... Look, the guy was nobody special. There'll be somebody on our video saying, where do you know the name of the guy Charlo fought? Because he was no fucking body. Be like, come on, man. He was nobody. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. We got an article here. Hold on a minute. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, we're gonna leave that alone. Okay, so Charlo fought somebody to become the #1 mandatory contender from the WBC for the winner of Golovkin Canelo. The WBC saying the winner of the Golovkin Canelo, fuck a third fight. Before y'all fight a third fight, y'all gotta fight Charlo. And look, anybody that knows me that's been following my video for a little bit, I go back a bit. And back in the late 70s, early 80s, Marvin Hagler was the most avoided middleweight in the world. It took an act of Congress to get Marvin Hagler one title shot. And I remember that they took an act of Congress to force the WBA and WBC to give Marvin Hagler a shot against Vito Antuofermo. And at the end of because he didn't knock out Antuofermo, nobody knocked out Vito. You didn't beat him on cuts. You just, they called the fight a draw. And of course, a fight later, I believe Antuofermo wound up losing the belt to Alan Mintor. And Hagler had to go overseas to the UK to get another shot at the title. And of course, the famous scene of Hagler beats Mintor, and the British fans rained throwing beer bottles and everything else at Hagler. And Hagler, instead of being able to stand in the ring celebrate his victory, had to run to the locker room. And that UK fans, if you any UK fan listening, is why a lot of American fighters don't really like to come over there too much, because when you come to the United States, if you come to stateside, and when a British fighter comes over here and wins the title, nobody here is not going to throw beer bottles and shit at them like that and treat them like that. I think that situation with Hagler has resonated a lot through American fighters. One, the fact that they don't feel you can get a fair shake on a decision over there. And two, the symptoms of what happened to Hagler. Now, I must say it didn't happen to Earl Spence, but I have my reasons for why it didn't happen to Spence and Kell Brook. But I must, also I got to go back to a fight that happened over in the UK during the Super 6 tournament, Carl Froch versus Andre Dirrell, a fight that I thought Dirrell clearly won 8 rounds to 4. And they gave the fight to Froch. And, that kind of sat, that was kind of, that was like, wow, how the hell did they do that one? But the point of the matter is, it's not like I'm not sitting here saying the U.S. doesn't have bad decisions, that British fighters haven't come over here and gotten bad decisions, because they have. Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield won. Lennox Lewis clearly beat Evander Holyfield. And for some reason, the judges somehow walked out of there, and I believe saying that some reason or another, the judges still walked out of there with Lennox Lewis didn't walk out of there undisputed. Wound up with a draw in a fight that he clearly won. So it does happen, but the point of the matter is, I think sometimes American fighters get to the point where they don't want to travel overseas, for horror stories that have happened to other American fighters overseas. And, and I think that the fact that the money, look, I'm going to tell you what this, like I said, Anthony Joshua talked the whole thing about the thing with Joshua and Wilder. Let's be honest about it. I don't care how many people you put out in the arena in London. Your pay-per-views don't cost that much. Over here in America, you might put a 80,000 in the UK with, whatever. For whatever, for some big for fight over there, you say, oh, Anthony Joshua's putting 80,000 in soccer and blah blah blah. Excuse me. You put 20,000 of MGM Grand, and all the other money from advertising and everything else. You make more money over here putting less people than you are over there putting more people. Why? Because you're going to get that money to sponsor. So the back end, it's not only the purse, but it's the back end money that's going to be better. Plus the back end money, your cut of the merchandise, your cut of the pay-per-view, is going to be bigger over here, because our pay-per-views cost at least $70 and up. So you can't tell me that you over there in the UK, your pay-per-views cost $20. And then you got your seating with that's not expensive. I don't know what kind of back end money you're getting, but I'm sure it's not as much as it is here in the United States. So I think that a Wilder, if I don't think Eddie Hearns wants the unification fight. I'm not going to put it on Anthony Joshua. I don't think fighters, as a rule, I always give fighters the benefit of the doubt. I don't think fighters have been doing this for a long, long time. And have been stepped in the ring with different guys, especially when you come up through the amateur system where you didn't know who the hell you were fighting, because you might train for one guy, turn around, for some reason he didn't make weight, and you got to fight the next best guy that was an alternate on their team. You know what I'm saying? So you don't know, when you fight in amateurs, you're always fighting the best of the best of the best. So, I don't think fighters are afraid to fight other fighters. I think a lot of times fighters become businessmen and think, well, they start thinking about high risk, low reward fights. Do I think that way? Absolutely. But do I think most of the time, what I think about most when it comes to it is it's promoters. Eddie Hearns is afraid and that's what's hurt boxing. Where we got to the point in boxing where, back in the early days, if you fought a guy and you were a good fighter, whether you won or lost, if you had a loss in your record, it didn't hurt you. Today, somehow, in this post-Mayweather era of boxing, we got to keep that got to keep that because if we lose one, we're less valuable. Well, Ali lost a fight, and it didn't hurt Ali. Sugar Ray Robinson lost fights, didn't hurt him. The greatest fighters in the world, Leonard lost fights, Hagler lost fights, Hearns lost fights. Didn't hurt them in their marketability because the fans knew who the hell they were and what they were about. And they lost to the best guys possible. When you fight and you lose to the best guy possible, nobody, on that night he was somebody better than you. But in this post-Mayweather world now, we can't lose that because if we lose that we're looked at differently. And maybe it's a generational thing because that different generations value the O. I don't value the O. I mean, if you're undefeated, great. There's a saying that, when my grandfather was alive, and my grandfather instilled a lot of the history of boxing and everything else into me, because my grandfather had 3 favorite fighters in his life: Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson, and Roberto Duran. So one of the things my grandfather always instilled to me was something that he heard, that he was said that Gil Clancy told him, Gil Clancy said, he was there when Gil Clancy said or whatever, that if you get to 30 and 0, if you get to 30 fights you haven't lost, you haven't fought anybody. Because if you get to 30 fights, you haven't lost a fight, which meant you haven't fought anybody, because back in the old days, those guys, you were fighting tough guys. And, if you got to a certain level and they lose, that guy say, hey, shit, who do you fight? Now, Sugar Ray Robinson was the exception to that, because Sugar Ray Robinson went like 140 and 0 before he lost to Jake LaMotta, but eventually he lost, but nobody gave a fuck because it was Sugar Ray Robinson. And he lost to LaMotta, and he moved up to middleweight to Benz that lost to LaMotta several times. But nope, it never hurt his credibility, it never hurt his marketability. He was still Sugar Ray Robinson, and fans still wanted to see him because he gave a good fight. Adrian Broner is another prime example of modern days of a guy that has lost fights and still very marketable. Adrian Broner's lost 3 fights and just had a draw Saturday night. And he's still very marketable. The ratings for his fight, he got 800,000 views, almost 900,000 views for his fight. For that card on Showtime, Broner, 890-some thousand views. This is a guy that came in with 3 losses and won 3 losses, left with 3 losses and a draw. But you can bet you believe that Adrian Broner, as much as I dislike Adrian Broner, I'll give the man credit. The man knows how to sell himself. The man doesn't duck anybody. He's not fighting the bum in the month club here. Jesse Vargas, a former champion, a former 2-division titleist. This is no cherry pick. This is no cherry. Hell, Keith Thurman wouldn't fight Jesse Vargas. So, I'm not gonna, I don't like Broner's antics after the fight. I don't like some of the antics he does before the fight. But inside the ring, Broner, gotta give the man respect. The fight with him and Vargas was a very close fight. I thought Vargas won a bunch of the early rounds, and Adrian came in the middle rounds, and Adrian took over the middle toward the end. I think that had Adrian not fucked away the 11th round, and not giving that to Vargas, I think Adrian Broner walked out with a decision. What I've noticed is that this is something that I've always noticed about Adrian Broner, is that he's not the biggest puncher in the world. People try to make him look like he's this big puncher. He's not. You know, the first time I seen Adrian Broner fight was on HBO against against De Leon, and I was not impressed by Adrian Broner, and I always said there's something missing. This kid, something about this guy, you know. Then they then they kind of downgraded his opposition, so he got some expressive knockouts against guys, you know, on HBO. That just one kid he fought, I forgot the kid just got knocked out on ESPN and somehow wound up on HBO fighting Broner. Don't ask me, I didn't, you know. But HBO did a good job in building Broner. HBO did a good job in building Broner up. HBO was building Broner and selling Broner as the next Mayweather. He was the next big thing in boxing. He was going to be all this, and that kind of stuck with Broner. Did it hurt him? Yeah, because yes, he got a controversy. He left when all those people in PBC and all those guys left HBO. You know, he got a controversial decision over Paulie Malignaggi. That guy was controversial. It was went over Paulie. Then his next fight, he got his ass beat by Maidana. And I think the Maidana fight, where I think Adrian Broner lost a lot of his charisma, a lot of his confidence was that second round when Maidana knocked him the fuck down. He got up that because he never happened to him before. Then he got up again in the 8th after Broner was making a nice little comeback there. And he looked like, oh shit, Broner might actually pull this thing out. Got up off the canvas, you know, fought back, was fighting good. And Maidana knocked his ass down again in the 8th. And then, you know, I mean, and I think those knockdowns kind of scared Broner because ever since the Maidana fight, Adrian Broner's not been the same fight. He doesn't let his hands go as much. You know, he doesn't, you know, because I think he's scared. He has flashbacks. But Broner got a draw against Jesse Vargas in the main event. And then I seen some stuff online with some idiots screaming PEDs for Jesse Vargas. Please, stop this. Just because Canelo Alvarez was dirty, we cannot go assuming every fighter's dirty. You know, we can't. What are we going to say? You know, we can't do that. You know, this guy passed there was drug testing. He passed the drug testing. I know PBC fighters are drug tested. Now, don't tell me that Jesse Vargas was on something. Now, I could be wrong. Now, if we come out a month from now and find out, whoa, Jesse Vargas failed his post-fight, you know, his post-fight drug test, I'll be the first one to come up on this video and make a video and say, yo, I was wrong. I'm sorry, y'all. But until then, I'm going to take that Jesse Vargas was a clean fighter. He's clean. He came in there. He fought Broner. Broner didn't do enough. Broner was a close fight. Had Broner done more, Broner could have squeezed that one out, but he didn't. Would I like to see a rematch? Absolutely. But here's what I would like to see. Adrian Broner, shut the fuck up. Honestly, shut the fuck up. Just, you know, don't. Because every time you come out your mouth racial with some racist shit against Latinos, and all you fighters Latinos, you know, come on, Adrian, come on. You know, if you're doing that shit to trying to piss off Latinos, saying, hey, if I say something negative about Latinos, and every time I fight a Latino, they'll follow their guide to watch me lose. Hey, you know, I understand you're trying to do it, but there's other ways of doing it than that. You know, the Roger Mayweather was called the Mexican Killer throughout his career, and he knocked off a lot because he knocked off a lot of top Mexican fighters until then Chavez. Until he fought Chavez at Chavez again at 140. But the point is, he got their reputation, and Mexican fans and other fans came to watch him because they want to see him lose. But he never said nothing racial about nobody. Adrian Broner, I see you doing some race baiting shit. And that's cool. That's not cool, man. Boxing is a game of warriors, man. It's not about race. It's not about what race you're. It's about man versus man, mano a mano. It's about warriors, man. So that's that bullshit you still need to stop. That's my opinion on that. That racist crap needs to stop because I don't like to see it. We're fighters. Fighters are warriors, man. We're warriors. It's not about what race you're. It's about man versus man. Clan versus clan. And what's sad is shocking. What's sad, honestly, is how we in America are such a racial-based country, and we are. We're fighters from the UK. Now, here's the thing. I'm not saying the UK is not racist, but if you're ours, you're ours. Those fighters, those guys, Anthony Joshua's a black heavyweight champion. And those folks in the UK are supporting the hell out of Anthony Joshua. Just like they support the hell out of Tyson Fury. Now, will they drop, when Tyson Fury, gets his shit together, will they drop Anthony Joshua like a hot cake and run back to Fury? Absolutely. But for now, they're supporting their guy. He's their guy because he's theirs. here in the United States, if you're, seeing like in some instances, there's a coincidental list. Like my man Dante has said, and several other brothers in the LDBC have talked about the coincidental list. And it seems like if you don't have the complexion for the protection, you're not on it. And Deontay Wilder's not on that list. Deontay Wilder's not on that. He doesn't have the complexion for the protection. You think that a heavyweight champion, an American heavyweight champion, Madison, who doesn't get in any bullshit outside the ring, who does everything you'd want with Madison Avenue, and the rest of these people would be jumping on a bandwagon to this is our heavyweight champion to promote Deontay Wilder, but they're not. And this is the hypocrisy of all these people here in America, and a lot of them. They always talk about they want athletes to be this, they want athletes to be that. Andre Ward was the total anti-Mayweather. He was a Christian man. He was married to his high school sweetheart, father of 4 or 5 kids, married, living together, goes to church every Sunday, family man, perfect guy, Andre Ward. Good Christian values, that Andre Ward, yet they shit on him. So don't tell me about, I don't want to hear this, but yet here's Tim Tebow, great guy Tim Tebow, I loved him in Florida, can't play quarterback to save his life, but the Christian groups and all these people cheer and clamor for Tebow and cry and moan and yell at the NFL and any other football league that won't give Tim Tebow a shot. Where were you when Andre Ward was being disrespected? Where were these Christian groups to be out there supporting Andre Ward like you do Tim Tebow? You weren't there. So that's the question I want to ask. Is it the color of his skin, or is it the fact that there's something about Andre Ward I don't know about? I don't know. But I'm just saying, it just seems kind of funny, in my opinion. Anyways, getting back to the card, okay, as we covered the Broner card, Broner won decision. Charlo's now, coming out of that Saturday night, we have a bunch of implications. Also, some other news that happened later as I'm doing this, that just broke. Keith Thurman has vacated the WBC title, as I mentioned earlier, which is good for boxing, because, Keith, if you can't fight, just stop holding the belt hostage and just, do something. And, and of course, a couple weeks ago, we had Jarrett Hurd beat Adesanya Lara to unify the WBA and IBF titles. And a lot of you people were complaining, saying, "Oh, I think Jarrett Hurd is 6 foot and change. He's a weight bully. He's blah 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 blah." Well, let me explain to you about the IBF. The IBF has the day of weigh-in. So, which means, yeah, you weighed 160 here. You came in and you were under 160. The day of weigh-in means that you can't be by the time that morning weigh-in, you can't be no more than 10 pounds over that weight. I think it's 5 or 10 pounds over what you weighed in the day before. So, I'm sure if Jarrett Hurd was what people are claiming, 190 pounds or whatever, the IBF would have flagged that when he wasn't. Jarrett Hurd might have been, Jarrett Hurd now I'm not saying he wasn't heavy when he walked in the ring, but I'm sure that the day of weighing, he probably weighed 165, 170, and the IBF said, we're good with that. And then he did. Do I think Jarrett Hurd might have bulked up beyond, after that, after the day of weigh-in? Yeah, I do. Between the weigh-in and the time he hit this ring, yeah, I think he might have been maybe 180, 185. But I don't think it was, as heavy as people saw him on 195 to 200 pounds. There was no way in hell. Because this is what people got to understand about fighters. Just because you fight at a certain weight class don't mean you walk around that weight all the time. Okay? When they had an interview with Jamal Charlo, they asked Jamal Charlo, they said, how is it getting back? It was making 160 tough for you. He said, yeah, it was, because I was cutting weight. See, here's the thing about it. If you walk, a lot of these fighters, they don't walk around the Charlos don't walk around at 100. I'm sure Jamal doesn't walk around at 154, and Jamel doesn't walk around at 160. I'm sure them boys walk around about 170, 180, 170, 180. So now you got to come there, you go to camp, you got to cut down you got to cut down in weight, because that's not your walk around. You got to cut down. For Jamel, it's probably, if he weighs 180, walk around 180, okay, cut down 20 pounds during camp. To get on, cut down 20 pounds to get in camp. For his brothers, he made 25 pounds to get down to 154 in camp. It's what you walk around at, so it's your walk around rate minus. That's why the WBC, what I like that they do is they have this weigh-in thing where they keep track of what you weigh before the fights. And during training camp, the WBC has a damn thing there. Well, they know if you're on scale to make weight. And I think that's a smart move that should be adopted by everybody. All these organizations adopt that move by the WBC adopts of, keeping track of the weight between, as we go along. That way we know that, hey, we're on track to make weight, come weigh in, or, hey, we're going to step them up or maybe, do something here. Because he's not going to make weight by this time. So, that was that. Then I watched a lot of different things. I watched a lot of different videos. One of the things that I watched was a video on, and then someone on Facebook did a post on it, was Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes, in my opinion, is one of the top 5 greatest heavyweight champions of all time. Now, this is my criteria. Now, I know a lot of you go, oh, what the hell? Here's my criteria. If you were a heavyweight champion, any fighter that fought back in the day where they excluded you from fighting the best competition, I dock points from you. Like Jack Dempsey, you wouldn't fight black fighters. I dock points from you for that. Would you rank higher if you fought black fighters? Absolutely. But you didn't. So fighters in those eras that avoided black fighters like the plague, I dock points from you for that. I can't, because there's no way in hell I'm going to sit there and say, well, this was one of the best of all time when you purposely avoided fighting the best fighters possible because of the color of their skin. Can't do it for you. You lose points with that. So when I start talking about my top fighters all time, they were guys that fought everybody and anybody. They didn't skip you because of the color of your skin. So a lot of those fighters that people said were so great, when I go back on the history, I see that they wouldn't fight this guy, wouldn't fight this guy, wouldn't, when I see they wouldn't fight fighters of other colors, like they wouldn't fight blacks, wouldn't fight Latinos, I'm like, that's a big no-no. That to me, that means that docks points for you, because that tells me you were the best white fighter. You weren't the best fighter. And I don't deal with the best. It's same thing with black fighter. I don't deal with the best black fighter. I deal with the best fighter. Excuse me. So if it was a case of black fighters that wouldn't fight other black fighters, yeah, I would dock them. But so when it comes to heavyweight division, a lot of these guys, I look at these guys in the heavyweight division, and Larry Holmes makes my top 5 of heavyweight champions. My top 5. Larry Holmes makes my top 5. Larry Holmes, my top 5 is probably going to look like, off the top of my head, my top 5 heavyweight champions of all time are Ali, Joe Louis, Larry Holmes, Lennox Lewis. Let me see some. Ali, Joe Louis, Larry Holmes, Lennox Lewis, and maybe I'll say Tyson at number 5. I don't know. That could change. I'll have to go through, but I'm saying off the top of my head, the Tyson thing could change. So I don't think Tyson's a top 5. I think Tyson's more for top 10. But I'm sure there's somebody I could put in there. I might even throw Frazier in there. I don't know. But I know my top 4 are Ali, Joe Louis, Larry Holmes, Lennox Lewis. So who number 5 is, I really couldn't say. I'll have to go through the list and just look at who I thought was my top. Who would and when I say the heavyweight champions, I mean the man that was the man. The man that was the man, not some title holder. Like, that's why you won't go see Mike Weaver in there. Because I could, Mike Weaver. No. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you, my top 5, matter of fact, my number 5 is Michael Spinks for historical significance. Michael Spinks. Because he became the first light heavyweight champion to win the heavyweight title from the reigning heavyweight champion. Michael Spinks is my number 5. Great light heavyweight champion, undisputed light heavyweight champion, undefeated, moved up to heavyweight, beat Larry Holmes for the heavyweight championship of the world. Yeah, Michael Spinks is my guy. Then he of course he he lost it to then he what the hell? I think Michael Spinks then he vacated the IBF title, because Michael Spinks at this point in time he fought he defended against Jerry Cooney. I think he fought a rematch with Larry Holmes and defended. He rematched Larry Holmes with the IBF title where he retained it. Then he fought a. I think he's dropped the IBF title, but was still the lineal heavyweight champion. And he fought Jerry Cooney, knocked out Jerry Cooney. Then the next fight I believe was against Mike Tyson. Yeah, next fight was against Tyson. And yes, I'm gonna go Michael Spinks as my number 5. But like I said, it's hypothetical. I could change my mind, but that's my view. But I think Larry Holmes just doesn't get enough respect for what he did. Larry Holmes made 20 defenses of the heavyweight titles. I believe he's second all time. He's second or third all time in most defenses in the heavyweight division. I guess maybe Klitschko has one more or he's in there. I don't know. But Larry Holmes is second or third behind nobody's ahead of Joe Louis. He had a knockout string that he had of 8 consecutive knockouts and title defenses that was stopped by Trevor Berbick. He fought everyone. Larry Holmes fought everybody. He fought everybody that was there. He didn't duck anybody. There was no ducking in Larry. Larry fought everybody. He was the dominant heavyweight champion of the world. Now people sit there and say, well, Larry wasn't undisputed. Why was Larry undisputed? Well, the reason Larry was undisputed was because when Larry was going to go for, Larry and John Tate were going to go for undisputed. And John Tate got knocked out by Mike Weaver, who Larry had already beaten Mike Weaver. So the momentum to go for undisputed wasn't there. Mike Weaver's the WBA champion. Well, Larry's already beaten Mike Weaver, so nobody really gave a fuck. Everybody said, okay, Larry's the champion. Then, of course, when Ali came back, Larry beat Ali, so then Larry grabbed the lineal. So then Larry, it was, there was no question who the man was. Mike Weaver, the WBA champ, was just a titleist. He wasn't considered a champion. He was just a titleist. And the bottom line is Don King really didn't want an undisputed champion because Don King was making, if you had one champion, that meant John King could only make money off of one guy. If you kept them belts separated, Don King can now control and make money off both their belts. It's like I did in my other preview, my video I told y'all. When the titles were split, when Ali lost to Leon Spinks, and then Leon Spinks gave Ali a rematch, and then Don King talked to WBC in a naming Ken Norton, who was the number 1 contender, the champion, and Ken Norton lost to Larry Holmes. The heavyweight division was once split. Don King controlled the WBC half, and Bob Arum controlled the WBA half. Because Bob Arum was Ali's promoter at the time. And Bob Arum had a nice, decent, stable heavyweight. When Mike Weaver knocked out John Tate, Don King grabbed full control of the heavyweight division. And he had all the top heavyweights under his reign. So Don King pretty much said, well, I don't need to unify these belts. Larry's already beaten Mike Weaver. There's no sense in me unifying these belts. I now control the heavyweight division in full. I control the whole thing. I can dictate and make the last fight that he had to get through was Jerry Coetzee. Was the last heavyweight he had to get through because Coetzee was not an in-house fighter. King had to Weaver got past Coetzee, so Don King could breathe easy. He said, okay, now all the heavyweights at this point are now in my house, so I control the heavyweight division. Whole thing. When he did do a unification was when Tyson, because now he has somebody special in Tyson. He said, yeah, I got to unify. And I got all these belts and now this big money. Because he saw the bigger money in Tyson. There was bigger money in Tyson than would have been in Larry. So there was no sense really in unifying. Because with Tyson, these guys, Tony Tucker was undefeated. Bone Crusher Smith was, he had the big reputation being a big puncher. Then there was Tyson. So Don King, there was more money that when Larry Holmes had the WBC title, there was no sense in. He'd already beaten Mike Weaver. Larry Holmes was a very active champion. He'd already beaten Weaver a year earlier. So there was no, WBA title really went down in prestige because we knew Larry Holmes was the man. He'd proven it. And then, of course, there's to talk about, and I'm going to catch some heat about this. I don't give a fuck. It's my video. These are my thoughts. A lot of stuff, this is my thoughts. All this talk about titles and most offenses and this and that and all this other horse shit. And that's what it is to me, horse shit. In my opinion, There are certain records in boxing that should not be broken. That should be broken, but that I don't count. Now, Bob Foster, undisputed light heavyweight champion, defended his title 14 times. Record, undisputed heavyweight championship. Nobody talks about Tito Trinidad defending the IBF welterweight title 19 times. I mean, it comes up, okay, but nobody says, oh, that's the record. Because the record is 14 for the undisputed. So if the record is 14 for the undisputed welterweight, 14 for the undisputed at light heavyweight, 11 at lightweight, 14 at featherweight, if follow me here, why is it that we let Bernard Hopkins and this Golovkin kid bastardize the record? The record is held by Carlos Monzon at 16 for the most title defenses by an undisputed middleweight champion. Number 2 on that list is Marvin Hagler with 12. I don't recognize all those defenses Hopkins had with one belt. No, because if you say that, then you might as well put Tito Trinidad up there, the old defense he had of his one belt. I don't recognize that. I don't recognize that. I'm sorry. I don't. Hopkins had one belt and he defended it X amount of times. Lucky you. Unified. When Marvin Hagler was champion, he was undisputed middleweight champion, defended it 12 times. Carlos Monzon, undisputed champion, defended it, I think it's 14 times. I said 16, it might have been 14 times. But the point is, undisputed champion, defended it. Monzon, undisputed, defended it, I think it's 14 times. That's the record. Hagler, undisputed, snuggled in second place. That shit that Hopkins doing and that shit that Golovkin's doing, to me, means nothing. You're a titleist. You're not the undisputed. You didn't defend the undisputed. Bernard Hopkins had, if you want to count his defenses as undisputed, Bernard Hopkins had maybe 2 defenses undisputed. Just saying. Maybe 2. Before he lost to Jermaine Taylor. So, I don't count Bernard Hopkins or Bernard at 20, 22, whatever. I don't count that horse shit. Because if you're not undisputed, and that's what I hate about boxing now, and I will clearly do this, if you're not, the record for the most defenses undisputed is 11 at lightweight. Now, Mikey Garcia, another thing that's coming up, Mikey Garcia has agreed to fight the IBF champion, oh crap, I forgot it, Robert Easter Jr. So there's a talk about unification between Mikey Garcia and Robert Easter Jr. if Robert Easter Jr. wants to fight. Now, Mikey says Mikey Garcia has vacated his IBF junior welterweight title to move back down to lightweight for this fight. Now, there's, the 4 champions at lightweight. There's the, I don't know who the hell the WBL champion is at lightweight. Then you have Jorge Linares, the WBA champion, who's fighting Lomachenko. You have Mikey Garcia, the WBC champion. And you have Robert Easter Jr., the IBF champion. Okay. Well, looks like a simple math. Mikey Garcia is saying, yeah, I'll fight Robert Easter Jr., big money fight, blah, blah, blah. Let's make the unification fight. Hey, that sounds like a plan there. So if Lomachenko and Linares are going to fight, that sounds like a plan there. So then Lomachenko fights Linares. Okay, the winner of Lomachenko-Linares goes and fights his WBO champion. And then those 2 guys hook it up to unify, maybe somebody sticks around and, defends that title, goes up to the Rand's record for 11 title defenses. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is if Lomachenko wins and Manny Pacquiao wins, then Bob's going to try to squeeze the last juice out of the Pacquiao lemon and make that Lomachenko-Pacquiao fight. Because he wanted to make look, Bob's been trying to pass the torch from Manny on to the next big superstar. He wanted to pass it on to Terrence Crawford. Manny Pacquiao and Freddie Roach saying, no, we're just not, no, Manny Pacquiao, we're not doing Terrence Crawford. No way in hell are we fighting Terrence Crawford. But look, Pacquiao now sees having new people around. He's like, yeah, we'll I'm sure they're still saying we're not fighting Terrence Crawford. We're just, we're willing to win the WBA regular title. We're either going to fight Keith Thurman, or we're going to drop down to 140 and we're going to fight Lomachenko. That's what we're going to do. Well, Manny Pacquiao wants to make as much money as he can, because I guess, there's rumors of Manny's broke and, Manny needs some money. Okay. But as far as what he's going to do, Manny's not going to fight. He's not going to fight Earl Spence Jr. He's not going to fight Terrence Crawford. he's not going to fight the winner of Sean Porter, Danny Garcia. He's going to maybe fight Keith Thurman if he stays at 147, or if the Lomachenko fight can be made, he'll drop down to 140 and he'll fight Lomachenko. That's pretty much what Manny's going to do. And I like Lomachenko against Linares. I like Lomachenko against Pacquiao. I think Lomachenko is young enough, but what do I think? Do I think Lomachenko will stay at 140? No. Lomachenko's going to take his ass right back down to 135. He'll do some business down there because he's got a Mikey Garcia fight down at 135. He can make that fight there. And he'll, then after the fight with Mikey, I might see Lomo think about maybe I'll go to 140. I don't know, but he knows he's got business to do. Bob Arum will find some kind of people to drudge around. Bob Arum pump up a bunch of 130 pounders in his stable, move that to 135, so Lomachenko can have bodies to put on his record. That's what I think is going to happen with that. But that and the PED deal is another big issue. The Canelo suspension, which is the biggest farce I've seen in boxing. It's a farce. Okay, because of the rules, we had to suspend Canelo. Now the rules say you can suspend him from a minimum of 9 months to maximum 2 years. Okay. So what they did was, the Nevada Commission did was, they decided to suspend it for a year, but because he cooperated, special circumstances, we're going to cut that suspension down, we'll cut that suspension in half, which means Canelo will be eligible to jump back in the ring in September, the next big Mexican holiday, and fight Golovkin, which is why Golovkin found his cherry to pick in Vanis Monterosha. So Golovkin stays busy. He knocks off Manaroshan. Then he can sit there, talk shit, and get ready for his September date with Canelo. Where honestly, I think that honestly, he's taking short money to try to make big money. He could have scrapped this May 5th deal. Turned around and fought in July. June or July, because Billy Joe Sanders was saying, hey, I won't be ready for May, but I'll be ready for June. And Sanders says, I have an opponent, but I can drop that guy and we can hook it up. So now you got the WBO champion, the other half of the last piece of your unit undisputed, saying to you, I have a fight scheduled, but if you want to take that date, we can drop this shit and we can do this thing in June. Now, you have it, which gives you more time to build that up, because now you say, oh shit, we got undisputed. Canelo lost because we got undisputed. And we took that and moved that, whether it be in the UK, we got a venue in the UK. Shit, take that shit right to the UK. You fought there before. Take that fight to the UK, go over to the UK, make that fight with Sanders. But I think that after Sanders showed his ass against Lemieux, don't nobody want to fuck with Billy Joe Sanders. You don't hear these, what I want to know is who the hell's the who the hell's the WBO number one contender? Anyway, who's their mandatory for WBO? I want to know who the hell's their mandatory, because I don't know who the hell he is. But you don't see, I didn't hear Danny Jacobs was screaming and hollering about, oh, I'll fight this guy, I hear Danny Jacobs saying shit about fighting, going over there and fighting, Billy Joe Sanders. Danny Jacobs don't want that fight. Billy Joe Sanders it was no sense Jamel Charlo said, Charlo already knows Billy Joe Sanders don't want no smoke here. So Charlo wasn't going to call him, but Charlo knows Sanders don't want that fight. Sanders is not going to take that fight. And the Golovkin people, and here's the thing I want to know about Golovkin. Now, if they're getting a quote-unquote pass for now with this Canelo fight, what I want to know is what happened to Danny Jacobs. Well, there's a lot of moving parts between now and the Canelo fight. Because now we know the IBF has this, the IBF number one contender. The IBF says the government stepped in and really got in the IBF's ass. The IBF has been on target with their rule. So the IBF could turn around and say, look, to Golovkin, you better come up with some kind of deal where you promise either going to vacate or you're going to, or what we're going to do here. Because the IBF could strip Golovkin of that title before he walks in the door. before he steps in the ring, Canelo. There's also the WBA could strip Golovkin of their title, because if Danny Jacobs won his fight, Danny Jacobs now number one contender, could become the number one contender at the WBA. So now you have a contendership of Jamel Charlo, I forgot the kid from Russia's name, and Jamel Charlo and Danny Jacobs. Three-headed monster there. And the only way to avoid any of that is you're going to go see Billy Joe Sanders. So I expect the winner of Golovkin and Canelo to then, whoever wins that fight, they're not going to be able to get away with a third fight right away. The winner of Golovkin Canelo is going to turn around and fight Billy Joe Sanders, because they're not going to want to fight Danny Jacobs. They're not going to want to fight Jamel Charlo. You know they don't want to fight Charlo. And they're not going to fight they might even lose the IBF belt to the Russian boy. You know, because the IBF may say, nah, fuck this, you're going to fight this boy. You know, because, you know, whatever. If they can push that off a little bit, they might say, okay, let's push that off a little bit. Now, here's what I would do if I were the camps of Canelo, the winner of Golovkin, Canelo, especially Canelo. Canelo wins. What I would do is say, look, how about we do this? I want to unify this shit. But I want to have one number one contender. Say, look, the IBF has one guy, WBA has one guy, WC has one guy. Okay, and I don't know who the WO is. Why don't we take this guy here, fighter, the IBF mandatory, and make him fight the WBA mandatory with Danny Jacobs and his Russian kid. Y'all bang it out. And then, y'all bang it out. And then, whoever the WBO's mandatory is, let you take on Jamel Charlo. Y'all bang it out. So now when I get back after this, I got two mandatories. Got one on this side, one on this side. So I'm going to fight one of y'all, flip a coin, one of y'all getting a shot. Then I'll fight the other. As soon as I've done that, got 6 months to fight the other one. But this way I don't have 4 mandatories. You know, I don't have 4 different guys saying, I don't have all 4 of y'all saying, no, this one, you know. But that's kind of impossible. That's why unifications don't happen, because everybody got your mandatory. But it's also because these guys don't have no brain cells to say, hey, why don't we knock this off, because, you know, because they might be afraid that one guy could turn around and become mandatory for all of them. You know, we don't know where Charlo, what if the WBO says, oh, Charles number one contender for that? Well, then shit, then Charles number one contender for 2 of the belts. We don't know where Charles ranked with the IBF. I won't say where Charles ranked with the IBF and WBA. Charles might be ranked number 2 in those. So we don't know. You know, what I'm shocked at, honestly, what I'm shocked at is at 154, Charlo was the IBF junior middleweight champion. I would be shocked if Charles ranked anything lower than number 3 at middleweight. I would be shocked. He's won the title at 154. I'd be shocked if he's ranked any lower than number 3 in the IBF rankings. I would be shocked, because, you know, that would just totally shock up the IBF. What the fuck? The man won your title on here, vacated your title, moved up and went. Y'all don't even rank him? Just saying. So that's all I got for today. Till next time, it's Joe Wilson signing out, saying have a good day, and we'll see you at the fights.